Welcome. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I would like to take you on a brief journey back in time, 27 years ago. I am going to share some excerpts from a poem that I wrote in 1994 on the eve of leaving for Palestine for the first time. It was originally published in The Poetry of Arab Women, a contemporary anthology, in 2001. It was republished in the queer issue of Yellow Medicine Review in 2010. It is called La Sombra of Who I Am. Who was my grandmother? What died with her and is buried in the soil Antigua debajo the burning sun? ¿Quiénes eran mis abuelas ancianas? Una mujer de los espíritus, a spirit woman darker than my jiddu, visits me. I am compelled by her to places within myself never thought to exist. She knows that I have Lebanese and Jordanian blood, that I can cook only in the language that is not mine, that I have built my life rebelling against those uncles who said I was too independent, outspoken, as I watched them send to our homeland for their next wife. She would for them give freely of her fertile soil, sow seeds and govern their growth, be lost in an Anglo-utopia, surrounded only by English words and few others like her, bought from their homeland. I, white-skinned, opinionated queer girl, am valueless to men. I, lesbian, of color if only deep inside, am to them a freak. I want to know the women in my blood. I need to know the entirety of what it is I have chosen to rebel against. Can I, young lesbian, whiter looking than most Anglos, silence my own voice, succumb to male superiority so I can discover my hamule and my grandmothers? If woman only has power through man, can I hide my lesbianness, my love for todas las mujeres? Can I stop the burning desire for desert women? For love between women is much more than haram. It is impossible here. I am what for many women they are not allowed to be, a strong female warrior collecting power from those whose wings conquered the great wind. Who is this visionary woman who is pushing me closer to those whispering in my blood? How much of myself must I sacrifice to satisfy this hunger, to collect and to know the feathers of these women inside of my soul? I am Bent Edip. Soy una niñita del sol, an outsider looking inward to search for the visionary Palestinian woman who is calling to me with her curly hair flying in the wind, dancing on the sandy soil of my past. As ella la diosa, the earth mother, Sappho's messenger, my grandmother, or a culmination de todas mis abuelas. I miss my grandmother's hands, watching them as she washed the grape leaves, mixed the lamb with lemon juice, kneading with both hands in a large bowl. Watching her hands turn the pages of my history to her nightlight as we slept. Watching sus manos work endless crossword puzzles, not knowing how to love me, or even if she should. Things she loved had a tendency to die. Our Arabic language lost in one generation, as she watched her daughters grow and marry white men. In the closest of cousins, at least, she had the reflection of herself. She was my only teta, Richard, and I looked nothing like her daughter. Todavía la mujer comes to me, dancing con la música en mi alma. I must, to complete the circles of my life, follow the visionary mujer, wandering backward, not forward, to find myself. Mientras la sombra of who I am is widening, and soon will be overtaken by the darkness. Se desaparece, se oscurece in the night sky, as the same wind that once caressed her face, now ancient, holds mine to the stars. I wrote this poem in 1994 before going to Ramallah to meet some of my family for the first time. The poem marks the beginning of my journey fighting for social justice for all women, which later expanded into social justice and human rights for all people. I came out in 1986 during the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the United States. The virus brought waves of death to the queer and trans community. In response, I became part of ACT UP movement, the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, and Queer Nation. I also became part of RAWI, the Radius of Arab American Writers, Inc., to offer support to others and increase awareness about our culture. The Spanish language was woven into the poem because I grew up in Orange County and Los Angeles, where I actively participated in and supported the local Chicanx and Latinx movements and was very inspired by their writers. I was also influenced by many women of color authors that were featured in anthologies like This Bridge Called My Back and Making Face, Making Soul. After 33 years of activism in multiple communities, I am here today to say that queer Palestinians and queer Arabs were not only an integral part of the queer and trans movement, but we also played central roles in Arab history in the United States. We have been here, outspoken, educating, advocating for change in several communities, while often not being fully accepted by either. Sometimes it has felt like I am educating without end to each community about the other, while simultaneously raising children, taking care of ailing parents, advocating for access to health care in low-income communities, and working hard to economically survive. Although a lot of wonderful work has been done by many, we still have a long way to go. Without privileged Palestinian and Arab queer creatives will continue to focus on our individual messages and our collective pathways to assert change. In closing, I would like to acknowledge and honor the important work that is being done by activists, authors, artists, filmmakers, and more, creative people who are advocating for equality, peace, and human rights. Whether participating in RAWIFest or working around the globe, may their courage, dedication, and belief in a better future inspire us all.